Well, something different. Chris is out this morning. He's feeling a little under the weather, so we're holding him in, in our healing thoughts. And we just decided to put a little jam together for you guys this morning. So something we worked up this morning. All right, hey, thank you. Let's kick this thing off, though, for real. Stand and sing. Come on in with us, will you? We're going to get that blood flowing. Come on. Get those hands clapping.
Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. Where the Father waits with open arms, He's calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home, you are loved. The peace you need and the hurt you're feeling. He longs to hold you and to wipe your tears away. Where the doors are locked, the lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved to belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, come on in. There's room enough in this home of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved to belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, welcome home. You are loved to belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, come on in, come on in.
All right. Woo! Aren't we lucky to have such a great band? Yes, we are. Touche. Oh, good morning, everybody. My name is Suzanne, and I'm your platform assistant today. It's my honor and pleasure to serve this spiritual house. Do we have any new visitors out there? Anybody who's never been here before? Raise your hand. Oh, yes. Okay. Very good. You're going to get a flower, and there's a lady right here, Julia, right in front of her. Right here. Yes. And you ladies are entitled to a free T-shirt, so make sure before you leave today, stop at the back table, and David will hand out a free T-shirt to you. Announcements. Everybody here, you can find your announcements in your bulletin. People on Facebook, you can look at our website. Also, I would like to ask people here if they would please silence your cell phones. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. If you have a question about unity or unity of Tampa, we have ambassadors. And I believe Julia's one. Raise your hand. Yes. So, okay, Julie's one. And Michael's one. Very good. Feel free to ask them. They have badges on, or ask any of us. Today, Jan is chairing our grief and recovery support group. It's immediately after the service, and at 1 o'clock. Oh, it's at 1 o'clock. Is it going to be here or there? It's going to be in the fellowship hall. Very good. All right. Gilda Suarez, she chairs a Soul Sisters group, and it's a women's support group. And the purpose is to support each other as women. And they're reading a book right now called Awakening Your Right Mind by Fiona Williams. And it meets the last Saturday of the month from 10 to noon here. So it's this Saturday. It's August 26th. So please come and join us. And we would like to thank the Snack Angels people, anybody who signs up to bring food over in the fellowship hall. That's really nice because when we're through here, we can go next door and we can have a snack, or you can have a full meal, whatever you want. Yeah, pretty much. And last but not least, we have birthdays. I know of 3 birthdays this week. Ernest, August 21st. Okay. Catherine Matras, August 23rd. And Mary Westland, August 23rd. Is there anybody else out there? Oh, raise your hand. Your birthday this week. Oh.
Esther, it's your birthday this week? Wow, what day?
Tomorrow. That's wonderful. Okay.
We need to write that down on our birthday list. I'll make note.
Okay. Very good.
Let's sing to him, shall we?
Yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God loves you. Happy birthday to you.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm doing double time today. Jeffrey's up in the sound booth because Duncan's not here. I'm doing birthday bracelets because Jeffrey's not down here. I'm wearing glasses because I ripped my contacts out in the car. I don't have a belt on to hold my mic today. I'm just like all over the map. We'll just be on top of my game. It's okay. Yeah, but you know what the good news is? The great news about coming here is we don't have to care. That's the best part about being here. We can just show up here, and everybody's good with that, right? So I just want to say thank you for being here, and I hope you had a really good week. I hope you were practicing what we talked about last week. Does anybody remember what we talked about? Jan?
Mercury's going retrograde this week.
Oh, boy. All right, well, that just means more shifts for us, Jan. All right, thanks to Suzanne. What? Human connection. Who remembered to put their heart space? Yeah? Are you remembering? The people within 3 feet of you are being impacted by you. Okay? So be kind. Well, all right, I can see you're going to be trouble. You're going to be trouble, aren't you? Yeah. All right, 2 things. One, I did not thank Cindy last week for being our board angel. It bothered me this week. So I just want to say thank you for being board angel last week. All right, and Janice, were you board angel this week? No. Okay. Thanks for nothing. Yeah, thank you. Suzanne, thank you for being our platform assistant. Michael, thank you for being out there. Jeffrey B. And I need to see you, Jeffrey B. Remind me, please. And, of course, our band is here. David's up in the sound booth with Jeffrey, of course, and I think that's everybody. Whoever's over in Fellowship Hall today, thank you for being supportive of us. And I want to say good morning and thank you to our Facebook and YouTube friends. We get so many great messages from you, and I really appreciate them. So I try to go back on and comment to everybody, but I just want you to know it never goes unnoticed. And I also want to do a shout out to Mike and Trish on the east coast of Florida. We don't get to see them anymore. very often, but we appreciate it, and I love that you sent a note this week letting us know you're still online. All right, with all of that said, I would just like us to take a moment, totally take a deep breath. Don't go to sleep. And let's say our affirmation. Keep your eyes closed. See if you can say it with your eyes closed so you can take it in this morning. There is only one power and one presence in the universe and in my life. God the good, omnipotent. All right. And our daily word today is understanding. With understanding, my spirit is always cool. One of the best ways to remain calm in any agitating circumstance is to practice understanding. Seeking to understand gives me information and insight and eases my reactivity. It keeps my emotional thermostat dialed down if I'm tempted to lose my cool. Perhaps poet Rudyard Kipling was referring to understanding in his poem If, when he wrote of the importance of keeping your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Properly mastered, my power of understanding gives me the strength and presence of mind to be a beacon in times of trouble or crisis. Whatever this day may bring, I will carry the light of understanding with me. I am cool in spirit. I am understanding. And from Proverbs 17, one who is cool in spirit has understanding. And to Suzanne's point earlier, you know, yes, it's great to ask our ambassadors any questions, but to her point, anyone here can help anybody. So make sure you're paying attention to who's around you. If you see people you don't know, and extend yourself. We had 91 people here last Sunday. We've been in the 90s for several weeks. When we start getting in the 90s in the summertime, we know that we're remembering to connect with people, because usually our summer group kind of goes missing for a little bit. But we've been able to keep together, and I think that helps our outer community when we're spiritually fed. But let's make sure we're not just talking to the same people all the time, because a lot of people come in here and leave and don't get noticed. So I want us to be mindful of that. All right, I'll be quiet and let you take over.
Will you guys stand and sing this song with us? It's called World of Abundance. We're learning it this month. 1, 2, 3, 4. This isn't really a hand clapping song, but you guys can just groove with us. Just like this.
I am so grateful for my life I have to live. Oh, and I am so grateful for all I have to give. For I live in a world of abundance, in a true never-ending source from above.
lovely. And we only have one more week to sing it.
That's right, they go by quick.
We're going to turn the words off next week. We'll see how we did. Okay, maybe not. I still peak on occasion, so. All right, I have two great stories to share. The first one, many of you have probably read about Maui and Lahaina and all the amazing people coming together to help the people on Maui. So when the deadly fires torched the Hawaiian town of Lahaina, all these groups came together, these improv groups. In convoys of trucks, they delivered supplies and were some of the first to witness the devastation in the place many of them call home. In the immediate aftermath of the fires, before official forces like FEMA and the Red Cross had mobilized, Auntie Lohua Kekahuna already had mobilized her own crew with her friend Duke Sparks. They devised their own response within a matter of hours. Sparks shut down his central Maui restaurant, called in his staff to make hot meals for shelters and emergency responders, and the two collected donations for evacuees. Within a day, they had organized an impromptu team of truck drivers to transport aid, moving in and out of the devastated town more than a dozen times, even when official routes were closed. Grassroots aid has been crucial in the face of governmental bureaucracy and delays. Honestly, we don't disrespect our government, but we're not waiting. When the kahea, which means call, comes, we'll be there. So interestingly, Hawaiian Electric is one of Jeffrey's and my client in our corporate world. So our friend at Hawaiian Electric posted this, and I wanted to share this. He wrote, hundreds of Hawaiian Electric employees from the 5 islands we serve are on the front lines on Maui, working with many others to safely restore electricity, assess damage, remove debris, and support our families, neighbors, and employees, some of whom also lost their homes and loved ones. At times of crisis, Hawaii always comes together, and Hawaiian Electric will be here to work with our communities to recover and rebuild no matter how long it takes. And I love that picture on the left. Those are all electric workers holding hands in the parking lot before they all went away to try and help the people of Lahaina, which I thought was just awesome. So, and our second story is really cool too. So thanks to Michael Hilson's mom, Pat, for this one. This is about a cafe owner who started something back in 2011. His name is Colin Duran. He purchased the Homemade Cafe in Berkeley, California back in 2011. He noticed that homeless people would sometimes stand outside of his restaurant and ask customers for money or food. So he came up with a plan. He decided he was going to give free breakfast to anyone, 2 egg breakfasts with the works, no questions asked. And instead of ushering people away, I told them, if you're hungry, let us know and we'll feed you. Right away, people started taking me up on it. Well, 12 years and thousands of free breakfasts later, his offer still stands. But now, this is the cool part about the story. We like the givers, but this is really great, the give back. His customers started chipping in to provide free breakfasts for the community. Here's what happened. He lost a lot of money. He emptied his savings account trying to keep all of his employees working, or at least receiving money during the pandemic. But he drained his funds. So now his customers went out and raised $30,000 for the restaurant through GoFundMe. It started last fall, and he said, and now what he's doing is he's allowing people to, when they come in to buy a meal for someone, and he puts a $5 ticket on the board. And if there's a $5 ticket on the board, then that whoever's hungry can go get it. But he's never stopped feeding anyone in this process. He's just trying to make it a more visible effort. And he said, on days when we run out of tickets, we keep serving free meals anyway, because nobody should go hungry. And that's the right thing to do. So I love these stories. Yes. Thank you, Pat. We appreciate that. All right, Elliot, let's get ready for meditation. And you changed our songs, so we're going to go back to practicing this one.
That's right. I got to always be changing something. So here we go. We're gonna sing Sanctuary this
We don't want to
morning.
get complacent here.
That's right. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Sanctuary for you.
So let's just take that in, what we just sang. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. So as you take a few deep breaths, I invite you to think of your inner body as a sanctuary in this moment. Quieting your mind, letting go of all the chatter, breathing in all the peace, and letting go of any chaos. Right here, right now, is all that matters. And we're here together to build our empowerment. So as you just listen to the words I'm going to share, feel free to take in what is right for you and just let go of the rest. And know that all the answers are already within you. You just have to listen. Today, I embrace my shadow self with understanding and compassion. It is because of my life experiences that I have quietly created this part of me, which I often keep hidden from others. But I can choose at any time to ensure this part of me receives my care and my attention so that I can be free to live a healthy life. When I step out of my shadow self, I live authentically, and I am able to look rightly at each person I encounter, connecting on a soul level, knowing that they too have a shadow that they may be hiding from me. Through our divine connection, I see beyond outward presence, outward appearances, allowing them to share their authentic self and giving them that safe place to be who they are without the actor's self. There is no better gift I can give the world than to be my true integrated self and allow others to do the same. But it all begins with me seeing myself as a divine being, where I'm able to speak kindly about myself and kindly to myself. Because when I can be in the right space, I'll invite rightly thinking from others, knowing that my body responds to the thoughts and the words that I use. I work on being keenly aware of how I think and speak about myself. My divine light shines brightly and serves as a beacon that helps bring light to my shadow self. Sharing my light with myself and others is the purpose of my existence and the best means of expressing my godly practices. I rest in the silence now and listen for my highest good to come forth. It is in the stillness and the quiet that we can hear and feel and receive what is ours to do in this lifetime and be peaceful in the process. So as we return to this moment in time, feeling relaxed and refreshed, we remain centered in peace. Good morning, Logan. I don't know if you have the patience to listen to me anymore. You're not in your seat. probably running around going, who is that? So today, we're going to take a deep dive into understanding our shadow self. And this may be more popularly known to you from the Star Wars movies, where you were first introduced to our dark side. If you're a Star Wars fan, then you'll recognize this quote from Yoda. But beware of the dark side. Anger, fear, aggression, the dark side of the Force are they. Easily they flow. If once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you, it will. Now, it's all true. We know that. We all have a dark side. We all have a shadow self. And we all know that if we live there, in that other side of us, it will consume us. So we have to understand it so that we don't get ourselves into that place. I spoke a little bit about this last week when I explained that as adults, we tend to suppress the spirit of young people because we want them to conform. But believe it or not, that pushing them to conform to acceptable practices is what creates the shadow self. And that's how we got ours. Our shadow self is that part of us that lives in the unconscious mind. And it's the part that we try to prevent everyone from seeing. But believe it or not, it's a useful part of us, and we should be willing to embrace it. Now, I know you're surprised to learn that the shadow self was not created by George Lucas. It was actually created by Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist. And this was his theory, that we can only exist as healthy and balanced human beings when we fully accept all aspects of ourselves, including our shadow side. Now, you may be thinking, well, I don't know when my shadow side appears or whether I have one. Well, here's an easy way to know. External triggers are usually the most obvious way that our shadow side comes up. Something happens outside of us, somebody says something to us, somebody does something, somebody in the grocery store took your basket, something happens, and an emotion is provoked. And the minute that emotion is provoked, it could bring up feelings that we've stuffed. So here's a perfect example. If you were told repeatedly as a child that nothing you did was good enough, and that you never met someone else's expectations, no matter what you did, then you grew up stuffing that feeling and believing that you were never good enough. So you adopted the belief that you're not good enough when you were a kid. When you're an adult and somebody says something to you and you don't think it was good enough, you react. In fact, you overreact. We all know what it's like when we overreact, don't we? Something so small and we're acting so ridiculous that it almost seems comical to look at ourselves if we're standing outside and thinking, oh my gosh, what was that? Well, that's because we've stuffed it all. And it keeps trying to come out and we never deal with that. We never deal with that. I think Myrtle Fillmore understood this because internal triggers also can create shadows. And Myrtle understood this because her whole life, once she was diagnosed with tuberculosis, she believed she had tuberculosis and she would be an invalid and she would not be capable of many things. So every day she believed the doctors long enough that every day she looked in the mirror, I'm an invalid, I'll always be an invalid. Well, then she attends, most of you know the story, I'm sure, then she attends a conference by E.B. Weeks, who was a New Thought person in the 1800s, and she was convinced that she could do something better. So, following that lecture, she began this regimen of self-talk. Because she learned through that seminar that our cells understand what we say. Now, don't laugh yet, because I'm going to tell you there's actually proof about this from a scientist. So she starts this self-talk, and in it, she is trying to integrate all of the parts of her body she has rejected her whole life. Every day, she repeatedly speaks of herself as healthy and whole, and she no longer speaks of herself or looks at herself and sees the invalid. By talking to herself, accepting her body, seeing herself returning to wholeness, she slowly brought light back into that shadow side, and she got out of a wheelchair. And was still arguing, as I think I mentioned about 5 months ago, actually. She was still arguing with people who wanted to put her in a wheelchair just because she was older. And she fought so hard to get out of one that she was like, no, let me do my own walking. Now, oddly enough, no coincidences in life, right? This past week, I get this video link. How many of you remember Frank Ingo? Do you remember? Okay. So Frank Ingo, who I really don't hear from, sends me this video link, and it's exactly what I was talking about this week, but he wouldn't have known that because I hadn't put it in the newsletter yet. So, lucky me, I get this whole thing from Dr. Lipton. You may have heard about him. He wrote a book called The Biology of Belief, and he's a stem cell biologist by trade. So back in the 80s, Dr. Lipton began examining if there was any connection between quantum physics and what he knew about the biology of cells. His breakthrough studies on cell membranes showed that the outer layer of every cell is similar in structure to a computer chip, and it serves as the cell's equivalent of a brain. So, are you with me? So far, we know cells have something in them that is like a brain that tells and programs this cell what to do. His research at Stanford University's School of Medicine between 1987 and 1992 revealed that the environment operating through the membrane controls the behavior and physiology of the cell and can turn the genes on and off. Here's how it works. Every time we're angry, jealous, or experience grief, we have thoughts about those. So we have these emotions, and then we have these emotional thoughts about what we're dealing with. Those thoughts become chemistry. They translate into chemistry. The chemistry is in the bloodstream. And that adjusts our genetics accordingly. So our thoughts and our emotions are affecting our cells. Positive thinking can heal us then from a disease, and negative thinking can actually create disease. Now, we know that in unity, that's how unity was founded, right? But we still don't get it. Because we're still saying negative things about ourselves, myself included. I still hear it come out. Oh, I could have done that better. Why did I need to say it? Why do I still say those things? Right, exactly. We need to be mindful here. So he refers to the placebo effect to help us understand this. So if you remember the placebo effect, it's the idea that a person's condition would improve when they were given fake medication. A sugar pill, for example, which is what we did in the wars when we didn't have medication to get to the soldiers. We would give them placebos. And we would monitor and we would tell them this is really going to take your pain out. And half of them, at the minimum, would find that they were not experiencing pain. Just the thought alone of receiving a treatment of some type would change the body's listening. And the cells would react to that. So we can actually change what's happening in our lives and in our bodies by understanding how our thoughts and emotions are affecting us. But here's the thing I just want to remind us of. Probably the most profound thing someone gave me in the last 6 weeks. That pain that is not transformed becomes pain that is transmitted. So if any of us are suffering from emotional pain and we don't work with it and help ourselves let it out, that pain will be transmitted to someone who comes in our path. The unfortunate someones who walk in front of us or walk to us or deal with us when we're in that space. So that's why it's important for us to embrace our shadow side, so we don't dump our pain on other people. Now, interestingly enough, this is all already biblically documented too. Yes, I said that. So Father Richard Rohr has done a lot of work in understanding the shadow self from a biblical perspective. And he makes some great points. I read a lot of his stuff yesterday and Friday. So first he explains that our shadow self is not a bad thing. It just allows us to behave badly and not see it that way. Interesting point. He explains that this is why Jesus criticized people who were hypocrites more than anything else during his walk on earth. He didn't hate people who committed offenses, but he didn't like people who pretended that they were without fault. Jesus had a phrase for the denied shadow, and it was this: the plank in your own eye, which you invariably see as the splinter in your brother's eye. His advice to us in Matthew 7 was this: take the plank out of your own eye, and then you'll see clearly enough to take the splinter out of your brother's eye. In other words, we need to see ourselves and others rightly through our divine eyes, through that divine space, not our intellect and not our emotional space. He said that the shadow is that part of ourself that we don't want to see, that we're afraid of, and don't want anyone else to see. But he says this, which I really liked. If our actor is well defended and in denial, that ego part of us, the shadow is always hated and projected elsewhere. But my favorite point was reading that we tend to hate our own faults as they show up in other people. So he encouraged us to face the shadow side of ourselves without identifying as that is who we are, but accepting that we have those sides. How would we know one thing if we didn't have the other side? Right? We wouldn't understand people. But he says we may find ourselves, when we start to let that out, we may find ourselves grieving. And it's okay. If we don't, he said, we will be full of shame and guilt and motivated by fear and malice. So we don't want all that stuff in us, and we know it can't be helping ourselves, right? So we're not going to be healthy, positive people if we keep stuffing what we're feeling. Now, I can really relate to this because one of the courses I just finished a few weeks ago was the Art of Quantum Physics. And as we were going through evaluating triggers and what triggers us and how do we recognize them, we had homework every day to write down these triggers. What was the unmet need? What were we stuffing, and how would we be compassionate to it? And I think I mentioned to you at the very start of this that one of the things they tell you is quit trying to make it therapy. It's not about therapy. It's about awareness. Just be aware, and that's enough to fix it. Just be aware. You don't need to go digging up all the dirt and trying to make yourself more upset than you already are. But I found myself crying every single day while I did that homework. It was super difficult, but I felt so much better afterwards. And he explains that the hero in us wants to attack, fix, or deny the existence of our dark side. And he said we might be tempted to share dramatically everything about it as a way to control it, which shows up, by the way, as us venting or dumping on each other. But the key for all of us is to bring light to these issues versus acting them out on each other and on the bigger part of our community. I love how he explained this. The saint, he said, perhaps this is what the saints meant when they said this. The saint merely weeps over the shadow and forgives it, and by God's grace forgives himself for being a mere human. He opens his arms to that which has been in exile and welcomes it home for the friend that it often is. So we just need to embrace ourselves and remember who we came here to be. Our shadow doesn't represent our truth. It represents the false beliefs we have told ourselves and the false beliefs we've chosen to hold on to. So I want to read you this from George Lucas because he said this multiple times over the years. I think it's so aligned with what I'm trying to say today. The dark side was greed, self-centeredness, fear, anger, hate, bitterness, possessiveness, not being able to let go of things. And thus, it was the opposite of the light side of the force, which was compassion, caring about others, love, fairness, charity, and hope. He stressed that the dark and light sides are not malevolent or benevolent in themselves, but one must stay on the light side to keep the force in balance and know to do the right thing. Let's review today's lessons. So embracing our shadow self can empower us if we learn first to recognize triggers for negative behaviors. Our reactions are prompted by our stored emotions. Number 2, observe how we speak about ourselves. The cells in our body believe what we say. Number 3, use awareness to release unhealthy beliefs so we can live a happy and healthy life. And number 4, see everyone rightly, allowing our authentic self to shine. Our affirmation today is, I embrace my shadow self. Let's say that together. I embrace my shadow self. And our quote is by Debbie Ford. It says, our shadows hold the essence of who we are. They hold our most treasured gifts. By facing these aspects of ourselves, we become free to experience our glorious totality, the good and the bad, the dark and the light. Let's take that in for a moment. So we pause now. to reflect upon the importance of embracing our shadow side. The need for us to accept ourselves perfectly as is. To know that we can heal through our thoughts and through our words. That the power is within us to do so. And so it is. Amen. If you have a prayer need, we have prayer cards in the back of the seats, and also in the back. And I get the prayer lists out on Monday to the chaplains, and we pray all week. Every one of us has a list, and we pray over those names and prayers. So please feel free to reach out, and some of you know to contact the prayer line if you didn't fill out a card. All right, we have a giving affirmation. We say it on Sundays to empower ourselves here in our spiritual community and in our individual lives. So let's say our prosperity prayer knowing that our abundance is guaranteed. We have faith in God as our instant, constant, abundant supply and supplier. We have faith in God to open ways when to the human sense there is no way. We have faith in God to guide us in all our ways, and our health, happiness, and prosperity are assured. Thank you, God, for your abundant good, now flowing forth to meet our every need. And with that, I'm going to invite the children down.
Feeling good, like I should. I went and took a walk around my neighborhood. Feeling blessed, yeah, never stressed. I got the sunshine on my Sunday best. Ooh.
Good morning. So today we were all together and we read the story of Joseph forgiving his brothers, and we played a little forgiveness game.
Felt like I was from nowhere, nowhere to be. Never questioning nothing, slept comfortably. This is how it pays to be naive. Life is a magic trick with a dove up your sleeve, and I believe in something good. Ooh yeah, and I believe in something good. Ooh yeah, and I believe in something good. Think that you won't last long, makes you feel small. Sun comes up every morning, you got it all. It ain't always easy, you can trip and fall. Stand up, brush the dirt off, and you feel tall. And I believe in something good. Ooh yeah, and I believe in something good. Ooh yeah, and I believe in something good. Here we my father was a preacher, yeah, I could have been saved. Instead, I've been spent away. Yeah. If my mother was a shrink, I could have been cured. Now I'm going overboard. And I believe in something good. Ooh, yeah. And I believe in something good. Ooh, yeah. And I believe in something good. Something good. Ooh, yeah. And I believe in something good. Something good. Ooh, yeah. Hey. And I believe in something good.
Whoa. All right, hey, thanks, guys. Yeah, that's a song by some unknown author. I appreciate the support. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And now that we got you standing, let's sing the peace song, shall we?
Peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now let's join together in saying the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is grace. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for being here.
1, 2, 3, 4. I feel good. I move it out good. I feel good. I move it out good. So good, so good. I got you. I feel nice. Sugar and spice. I feel nice.